Hollis Flatt had a talent for fixing things. He learned electronics in high school. Then he got his first job at an electronics store. He got hired at a TV station, Channel 2 WSIX-TV, later becoming WKRN. While he was there, Hollis mostly worked in video. Sometimes he did audio mixing for some of the live shows. There were many videotaped ad agency spots, gospel shows, and the Wilburn Brothers show that featured Loretta Lynn. After 10 years at the station, Hollis went to work at CBS Columbia, where he did maintenance and mastering, along with MC Rather. They mastered many hits, including Nashville's Columbia Product and other labels, working with Jerry Kennedy, Shelby Singleton, Billy Sherrill, Glenn Sutton, Monument Records, Rick Hall, and the Benson Company.
One time we had 4 different lathes, and one of the rooms was tandem tied together, so we could cut 2 lacquers at the same time, album or a single. Because doing like that, they normally just use those for albums. Just cutting a single took you too long to get this disc off and set up and this and get everything ready to go again. So normally use those for albums all the time. Right, we could, the producer, like say Billy Sherrill or whoever, this would be mostly on Columbia stuff that did this. They come out of the studio, he may take it up to his office and play it. He approved it. They make a analog master. They may want 150 or 200 dubs, however many, or even 50. It's in the radio stations overnight. That's a hot item. So they'd have people running, cutting dubs all night long, or if it took that, whatever it took, ready to go out.
So the mastering business was a lot more active during them times, yeah.
It was whatever it took. We had engineers running the lathes to cut. And I've cut a lot of dubs.
Ron Snake Reynolds here saying congratulations to my old buddy Hollis Flatt on his Lifetime Achievement Award. Hollis and I worked together at Columbia Records back in the dark ages, back when music was good. I was a mixing engineer there, and Hollis was one of 2 maintenance engineers that we had on staff. Bob McGraw and he used to take care of all the equipment for 3 studios and a mastering facility. Most people don't know we had 3 studios. We had Studio A, of course, everybody knew, and Studio B, the Quonset Hut, but we also had a room called the tracking room that was just used for mixing and overdubs. And the equipment, there's a lot of equipment involved in all that, obviously, and some of it, let's say, was getting to the end of its shelf life. In fact, a couple of the pieces even had stickers on it that says, best if used by 1950. Most people in the business, in fact, were really outgoing and verbose and over the top, and some were just plain nuts. But Hollis was the exact opposite of that. He was real calm and cool and soft-spoken. He was kind of like what Clark Kent was to Superman. Anytime an emergency would come up, he would turn into Superman, but he still looked like Clark Kent.
Columbia CBS closed their studios in 1982. Hollis, along with MC Rather, moved to the Young & Sound Studio building and set up shop as Custom Mastering, Inc. It took them just 1 week to get up and running. CBS soon realized they closed their facility and needed mastering, so they sent their work to Hollis and MC.
Yeah, of course, both of us, he'd worked at Columbia for longer than I had. I'd been there almost 10 years. So we knew ahead that this closing when it was, so we had been working ahead of time. We said, well, we had to do something, and that's what we knew. So we got our heads together and bought a Westrux lathe from Westrux in California. And they closed on June the 30th, and we worked all weekend, wiring it up and getting everything set up and checked out. And on July the 5th, we started working. So, and we were blessed and to be able to find a room over at Chip Young's place and work with Glenn Reef.
The future market was turning toward digital recording and CDs. When digital mastering became available, they bought the Sony mastering system, which featured the PCM 1610 and PCM 1630 machines. Fate was kind to Hollis and MC. CBS sent all their work to custom mastering, as it was mandated by CBS executives that all product must be mastered on the Sony system.
I guess you had the world's longest mastering project. That was Johnny Cash reciting the Bible, right?
Johnny Cash, we started it over at Chip Young's place. I don't remember the exact year, but at that time he recorded maybe a book or a chapter of one chapter of one book. And it might be a week or a month or 2 weeks where he recorded maybe more next time or less, and his vocal tone one time might not match the other exactly. It's all recorded on our DAT. So we transferred all this to, EQ'd it as we went, and it finally we transferred to 1630 so we could do a lot of editing, which it had to be done. And this went through equalizer. We EQ'd it, make it match the best we could. Of course, we put it together in spaces like it's supposed to be. We did the whole Bible.
Young & Sound was sold in 1990, so they moved their business to the Welk Polygram building. Custom mastering stayed at that location until the end. MC retired in 1992. Hollis closed the business and retired in 2009.
After Columbia closed, Hollis and the MC started custom mastering and continued to do Billy Sherrill's records, my records, a lot of producers' records in Nashville. And Hollis became quite the great mastering engineer. And that's a hard transition to make. It's kind of a right brain, left brain sort of a thing. I know mixing engineers is a no brain sort of thing. But seriously, Hollis, congratulations on this award. It's well deserved. I'm proud of you.
I want to talk about Hollis Flatt. I worked with Hollis at Columbia for a number of years, and then after Columbia closed, he and MC Rather started a mastering room, and I worked with them till both of them retired in their mastering room. But Hollis was a really good maintenance engineer. That's what he was at Columbia, and he was a very quiet guy. Didn't have much to say, but boy, he could get it done. I've seen him pick up a piece of equipment that I know he had never seen, and something was wrong with it, and he had that knack to stick with it and figure it out and fix it, and that's an art right there. Funny, to tell you a funny story about Hollis. Some engineer, I saw this happen several times, they'd have a problem with something. So they would call Hollis, he was on duty. And he'd be there to fix their problem, working with us. And they'd be trying to tell him how to fix it. Well, he'd put up with that for just a little while, and then he'd politely hand them the screwdriver and walk off, and all of a sudden, the tone changed. Oh, come back. You got to fix it. But it was so cool, he'd just hand them the screwdriver and leave. You don't need me if you're going to tell me how to do it. But he's a good guy, man. It's good he's getting the honor. He and MC when Columbia closed down their studios. MC was a mastering guy, and Hollis was maintenance guy, and they partnered up and opened a mastering room over in then Youngman studio. They had an unused room over there, and they were very successful with it. And then when MC retired, Hollis continued on with it, and I was doing my mastering with them after Columbia closed, when I had to have mastering done. But congratulations to Hollis on this honor.